Hi there, and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Liz Jenkins, your relationship coach and therapist. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with my latest videos. Now, let's dive into this new topic, one that many couples struggle with and sometimes are embarrassed to talk about it, but it's feeling like your spouse or partner is another child. That's right. And if you're feeling this dynamic that you think you're actually raising more children than you actually have, you're not alone. And I'm gonna quickly show you how to get this back to an equal partnership instead of a parenthood. Because this dynamic, it can build resentment and strain your relationship or your marriage, and it doesn't need to. So don't worry, I'm here to help you navigate through it. So imagine this, that you're coming home exhausted after a very long day. You've been juggling work, household chores, maybe outdoor chores, and even kids or critters. And you walk through the door and you find your partner, your sweetheart. They haven't lifted a finger and they've been home for quite some time. Maybe it's their job to get the kids on to homework started or dinner started, or even just bust the laundry, whatever it might be. But they haven't lifted a finger, and you might find yourself feeling very frustrated, to say the least. Well, this can quickly turn into a parent-child dynamic, leaving you feeling like you're the only responsible one in the house. And if you don't remind them, nag them, do it yourself, it will never get done. So today, let's break down why this happens, how it impacts your relationship, and most importantly, what you can do to change it. So first of all, we want to understand, what is this parent-child dynamic, and what is it? Why do we even need to discuss it? So we're going to look at what the definitions and the signs are and why it happens, because it does happen in even some of the best relationships. So the first sign of this dynamic is that one partner is actually taking on the majority of the responsibilities, even if they're the one that's creating all the to-do lists and running around making sure the to-do lists are done, but they're taking on the majority of these things. The other partner tends to be more passive, laid back, perhaps dependent, but definitely not under any little stress or urgency to get these tasks done, especially not like maybe you're feeling. And there can be frequent arguments about things being, balls being dropped, or things that were on their to-do list aren't being done. And so chores and responsibilities become a huge playing field for fights. And that includes paying finances, servicing cars, researching the best, whatever it might be. All right. Why does this happen? What's going on? We were great before, and now that we're at an item, what is happening? Okay, there's some psychological issues or reasons that might be happening. Sometimes during our childhood, we learn or we are influenced by how we were raised, what we saw growing up. Sometimes even the best of couples get very comfortable in familiar roles or ruts, and we just kind of like drop in and go. And it happens in a blink of an eye, and it can happen slowly over time. Also, behavioral reasons. Okay, what continues to have this dynamic happen? Well, for one, it could be a lack of communication or a hesitancy to bring a topic up, or not knowing how to talk about it. And it could also be that we sort of have preset established roles, and we've outgrown those roles, or we've been overloaded by the amount of work that now falls under our wheelhouse. And there's also the big thing is that sometimes people really want to avoid conflict, avoid letting somebody down, or actually avoid being responsible and maybe making a mistake. Okay, so we got some of the reasons why and some of the dynamics. If you're starting to feel familiar, or you have some concerns about it, just hang in there. And so I'm going to talk about the impact on the relationship. This is the why. Why is it? Okay, so we're in this rut or routine, and so they have a little bit more on their plate, or I have a little bit more on their plate. Why should we change? Because there's an emotional toll, and it shows up in ways of feeling overwhelmed, undervalued, unheard, frustrated, feeling like we just want to give up, resign ourselves, so this is the way it's going to be. And that results in a loss of romantic feelings, intimacy, emotional connection, the whole gamut. We start to feel more and more distant and disconnected, and maybe questioning, why did we get together and what happened? Why we were this great couple, right? What tends to happen then is resentment starts to build. There may be silent frustrations that lead up to these explosions out of the order. There could be lots of verbal anger, the silent treatment, those cutting remarks or humors. It could be even like out there in the public. You might be talking about, oh, I gave birth to 3 kids, but I really have 4. That type of you start to hear these cutting remarks in couples dynamics. It also, we lose trust in our partner, we lose trust in our relationship, and it definitely drops the level of intimacy and closeness and the ability to open up. So here's 3 strategies so that you can rebalance your relationship and get back to that early connection and early feelings of things are even Steven. And we know that in the real life, nothing is rarely ever even Steven, but it helps you start to rebalance that. If you're starting to realize that maybe even in the early stages of the relationship, the dating, that phase where everything was great and everything was wonderful and we had less things on our plate, that maybe it never has been balanced, that's okay, because these techniques and these strategies are going to help you. So the first one, we're going to talk about effective communication, right? A lot of times we talk, we're actually communicating, or that it's effective, or even that it's on target for our relationship and our partner. So we want to use I statements to express our feelings without blame. Typically, when we're frustrated, we start to get into, maybe our voice goes up, we start pointing our fingers, or we're talking about, you always do this, or I'm always left holding the bag, whatever it might, And so we're using these absolutes, and we're using attacking, and that's you, or if we're using I, it's about I'm doing it all. So we want to get back to expressing feelings and not accusations, or not maybe the real stuff. So I'm feeling really frustrated. I need to talk. I'm feeling overloaded, and feel like there's too much on my plate, or I feel like I'm doing this, but you're not following through, or I'm the one that has to become the nag, or whatever it might be. Okay, regular checkups. That's number 2, and regular checkups to discuss our responsibilities and our feelings. And that's not when somebody's in trouble. It's not when they've dropped the ball. But I want regular checkups when things are going great, and check-ins, and things are going well, or they're smooth, or you're trying a new checklist to get things done. You want to check in. How's it going? Is it feeling balanced? Are you feeling okay? That's where we want to be, on the regular check-ins when things are going good, as well as having the ability to sit down and say, hey, I need to talk. I thought this was going to work, or I thought we had this plan and it's not happening. All right. Number 2, setting boundaries and responsibilities. I know boundaries get a big, sometimes get a bad rap, but it's really important to know what's on my plate and what's on your plate. Right? And so earlier on, when life was simpler, perhaps, it was easy maybe to take on extra stuff and say, sure, no problem, I got it. But it may be time to go back and say, let's look at our to-do list. And it could be one list one, and one's this little type of thing. And let's see how often the to-dos have to be done. And do you find joy in them? Do you like them? Do you have a knack for them? And if you don't, how do you trade or negotiate on the chores and the household duties and kind of life in general get managed? One way to make sure we're both communicating well, and we're both on the same page, and we both understand what we signed up for, is a shared calendar or a task list. That's right. Remember, maybe you grew up where you had those, who's responsible for cleaning the room, brush your teeth, that type of thing. All right. We're not into the child part of it, but we are into the task list of, here's the things that we're doing, and here's the days that we said we're going to do them, or the days that they need to be done, so that you can step back and know that they're handling their portion and you're handling your portion. Why? Why would we do this? Because we've probably lost faith, lost confidence in the relationship that they are going to be able to do what they said they were going to do. They might have said, yes, I've got it. I'm going to get the car smogged, or serviced or whatever it might be, but it never seems to happen. And so you kind of just like, I need to do it myself. Okay. So we want to rebuild trust. This is the third pillar of the area we want to work on, rebuilding trust and mutual respect. Because if you're feeling like you're parenting your partner or your spouse, it's not very respectful. It doesn't feel very equitable. And most certainly, if you're the one seeing that I'm being parented or they're nagging me or criticizing me, it doesn't feel very respectful. So we got to focus on the successes. Acknowledge and appreciate each person's efforts. All right. We're not going to be tied to the outcome at this point in time. We're going to be tied to the fact that they're showing up. We're seeing they're doing it, and we appreciate them giving their try. So they went in and, mowed the lawn, and maybe they didn't mow it quite the way you would have liked, or they went in and cleaned the bathrooms or got the kids ready for the bath and got out of the bath, and it didn't go exactly the way you would have done. That's okay. Remember, we need to recognize they're individuals. They have their own style, and we need to respect that and appreciate it. We can tweak that, or we can have preferences that opens up in another conversation. But for the moment, we want to acknowledge and appreciate each other's efforts. The other important area is scheduling quality time to reconnect. Not all about the chores and not all about, let's tweak this and let's add this on the list, but just some time to reconnect. Going for a walk, sitting on the patio, scheduling a date moment, even in the house, and if you'd like more tips on how to have a free date night at home, in the comments below, I've got a downloadable that you can have, and it'll show you many, many ways to get creative in the moment that's cost-free and start to date each other again, just like the early days, or even better. All right. So if you're feeling like you're raising another child instead of being in an equal partnership, it's tough. I realize that. But with the right strategies, you can shift this dynamic. Whether it's just you at this point starting to make that shift, you can. Ideally, the two of you will get in place on this. But remember, it starts with you, and it starts with one important thing: open communication. From there, we set clear boundaries, shift responsibilities, and make a conscious effort to appreciate each other's contributions. And I really important. If I'm not feeling that I'm being appreciated, I'm going to lose motivation in continuing to maybe get out of my comfort zone. And the same thing probably goes for you or your partner. So we want to appreciate each other's contributions. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with anyone who might benefit, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips on building a happy, healthy relationship or marriage. I thank you for watching it, and I will see you next time.